tonight as they head to Denver to take on Jokic and company. Despite Nikola Jokic averaging 25 points over the last 10 games, the Nuggets have gone 5-5 in that stretch, losing 2 of their last 3. Don't blame Jokic's play for those losses. The Joker is averaging a triple-double this season. If it holds, he'd become just the 3rd player in NBA history to do so. He's also the 6th player to increase his points, rebounds, and assists per game after an MVP season. My goodness, the kid's the real deal. Joey's back for more. Who's your MVP right now?
Jokic. This is one of the great all-time NBA MVP races, and I'm honored to be a part of this conversation today because I think between now and the end of the season, this is going to ramp up. Both are very deserving. Jokic should get the award. 2 key reasons, and they're based on the 2 reasons why everyone leans to SGA, the scoring and the winning. Let's start with the scoring. It's not just about the points per game. How many points are you actually generating? Let's take your points per game as well as the points you generate off assists. If you combine the 2, look at that. Jokic generating 6 more points per game for Denver than SGA is for Oklahoma City. We should bring the assisting into the equation and not just talk about the raw scoring numbers. And right there, the edge shifts from SGA to Jokic. Point number 2, the winning. Number 1 seed in the Western Conference. He's got the better team around him. I hate the idea of punishing Jokic because SGA's teammates are better than Jokic's. Here's the true measure of value. What happens when you leave the court? When SGA leaves the court this season, Oklahoma City's outscoring the opposition by a point per game. It's a completely different story in Denver. When Jokic leaves the court, Denver's getting outscored by 3 points per game. They're a below-average team when he leaves the floor. Oklahoma City's just above average. That is why you should be voting for Jokic over SGA.
I get where you're coming from. I appreciate the argument. Statistically, you're absolutely right. I don't give a damn. SGA was my MVP last year. He would be my MVP this year if we were voting today. Now, that does not mean that this race isn't incredibly close, that SGA can fall off the map and still gets it. I didn't mean to imply that when people took me for saying that the other day. That's not what I was saying. I was saying if he continues to play the way that he has been playing, I'm not taking it away from him this time. They are 12 games ahead of the Denver Nuggets in the standings. 12. This is not a close race. They're the number 1 team in the Western Conference for the 2nd year in a row. So let's go. You got your numbers. I have mine, okay? SGA, over his last 23 games, Swaggle, Joe, is averaging 35 points on 51% shooting, 41% from 3, 4 50-point games, 6 40-point games. We already know that he scored 20 or more in 63 of the 64 games this season, okay? He's the only player in the league in the top 5 in both offensive rating and defensive rating. You left that nugget out. I know you knew that stat, Joe Fortenbaugh, but you didn't mention it. That's okay. I understand when you're making your argument. Why help mine? I understand. But damn it, it's the truth. Offense and defense. This is what he brings. We won't get into. And how about this, Swaggo? Okay, the man is averaging 30 points against 21 of 28 opponents he's faced this season. He's averaging the league-leading 32.8 points per game for an OKC team, winning 82% of his games. By the way, historically, when you talk about players who have averaged 30 points a game for a team that won at least 80% of its game, there are only 4 instances in NBA history where that has happened. Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, 70-71. Jordan, 91-92. Jordan, 95-96. And Steph Curry, 2015-2016. What do they all have in common? Every one of them won the league MVP. But suddenly it's going to be different this year, right? And last but not least, Joe Fortenbaugh, not only do I take that into consideration, okay, let's also remember this. When we look at what SGA brings to the table, okay, and we take into account the greatness of his team and what have you, all I'm going to tell you is this. When I look at Jokic, I see a phenomenal player, an all-time great, who, by the way, is bigger than practically everybody he's going up against, just wobbling up and down the field. Can't jump onto a curb, but he's unstoppable. He's marvelous to look at, marvelous. But when you look at others, there's a whole bunch of people that look like SGA or Shea Butter, as my colleague Malika Andrews, the extraordinary host that she is, mentioned, okay? We see a whole bunch of dudes looking like him. Some taller, some bigger, but a lot of them looking like him. Nobody's playing like him. That's where I'm going. Number 1 seed, 12 games ahead. I gave you the numbers. This is not the year that we're going to look at Shai Gilgeous-Alexander and we're going to say, Mr. Triple-Double himself, Nikola Jokic, oh, he automatically gets it again. Oh, hell to the no. SGA, he continue on this pace to end this season, he's my MVP, and I have a vote.
Oh, yeah, throw that in there. Listen, before we started this show, I was thinking about this hard, Stephen A. You know how much I love basketball. Joe, you know as well. And I had SGA as the most valuable player. And then this morning I texted her and I said, there is no way in hell I can say Nikola Jokic is not the most valuable player in the NBA. Because I would be doing to Jokic what we've done to LeBron for so many years. We fatigued. 29 triple-doubles is great. That's tied for 6 in the season. The man just had 30, 20, and 20 in an NBA game. All right? That is pure D dominance. I don't care if you playing the middle school team from Denver. 30, 20, and 20 is hard to get playing by your damn self. The dominant fashion in which he plays the game from an offensive standpoint, we could talk about that. I think Shai is the most dominant offensive player. And Stephen A., you brought up the defensive game that he's playing this year. It's the impact and the effect that Nikola Jokic has on every single possession in basketball that blows my mind. And I think that's something that we have to be able to look at and put a value to, as opposed to just the points or what people do on the floor. Joe mentioned it. They are a 3-point less better team than when he's not on the floor. SGA is one. But ultimately, when we think about this guy and the impact and an effect that he has on every single possession, whether that's rebounding, whether that's assists, or whether that's points, no one is doing it at a more valuable rate than he is. And in order to not spite myself in what I said so many years about LeBron James not winning the most valuable player in the NBA, is when you remove him from the lineup, what is the team? Not saying that this team is as good without Shai. No problem at all. They are better. They are a team in first place. But without Nikola Jokic in Denver, we not having a conversation about this team.
They give it to LeBron. They give it to LeBron. Look at the Lakers and how they've looked without him. They look at the Lakers how they look without him.
We should have for like 7 years straight. We should have given it to LeBron.
7 years straight.
Because it was fatigue.
And
James Harden was scoring all.
That's an L for Stephen A. That's an L for Stephen A. L on the front end, L on the back end. L for Stephen A.
No. Sorry, I don't feel that. Not at all.
Miami doing something to him.
We're going to break.
Miami making him a little more chill. Miami is making him a little more chill.